Hello students and welcome to the very first class of Accountancy Term 2 syllabus, and today we are going to start chapter 1, that is accounting for not-for-profit organizations. Now children, what are not-for-profit organizations? Any examples, anything that comes to your mind when you hear this term not-for-profit organization? Yes children? NGOs? Yes, so we often talk about these terms. Parents talk about NGOs, somebody is helping someone and all that stuff. Okay, so there is a systematic organization system which doesn't work for profit making only. There are certain organizations which work for the furtherance of cultural objectives, religious objectives, educational objectives, literary objectives. So there are so many other areas which can be the focus of any business, of any organization which is working. So it doesn't mean that any organization which is working will only work for profit. Okay, there can be other reasons for working. So NPO, not-for-profit organization, is one such kind of organization which works for various different objectives. The service motive is the main motive, along with promotion of culture or education or literary work or health. So all these can be the reasons for any organization to work. So such organizations are known as not-for-profit organization. So children, in today's class we are going to learn about all the details of NPOs, not-for-profit organizations. First we will start with the meaning of it, then we will go next to the features of all the NPOs. What are the features, different features of any NPO? Then we will know about the financial statements, what statements they prepare, what accounting they need to do and they do and why they do, right? And then we will find out the difference of the statements made by an NPO, that is a not-for-profit organization, as compared to the profit-making organization, that how it is different, the accounting work how is different than the profit-making one. So all this we are going to learn today in today's class. Okay, so let us start with the meaning of NPOs. So what can be the meaning, children? We have just now discussed that those organizations which are set up to promote any religious, educational, health, literary services for the society at large, those are known as our NPOs. Okay, so let's start with it. So Meaning of NPO is those organizations which are set up to promote cultural, educational, health, literary objectives, along with the service objective for the society at large, are known as not-for-profit organizations. Okay children, so all these objectives can be the main objective along with the main service objective for any NPO to be set up. Okay, so that NPO may start the business, start the working for promotion of any of these objectives. So can you give me any examples, children? What can be the examples of NPOs? For example, our club. If we talk about a club, what does a club do? Club provides recreational activities. to improve the health of the persons, right? To keep them fit for their members and all, right? What a hospital does. Hospital provides medical facilities, provides medical facilities, right? So similarly, we have these organizations. They can be a library which will provide the literary work. They promote the literary activities of the society at large. So all these are the examples of not-for-profit organizations, and these organizations do not work for any profit. They work only to focus on their main objective, which is the promotion of any of these causes. Okay, so out of this meaning only we can extract all the features of any NPO to understand it better. Okay, so let us take up the features one by one. So what should be the first feature, children? What is the first and foremost important impact of an NPO? Why an NPO even exists? So yes, well, you have well understood this fact that it is service motive. Service motive is the main idea behind an NPO. So that will be the first feature, service motive. So those organizations which work for service motive, along with the furtherance of any reason, cultural, educational, health, medical facilities, that will be your NPO. So that's the first and foremost feature of any NPO. What else will be the second feature of the NPO, children? Ownership. What about the ownership? Who owns an NPO? So for NPOs, the ownership, there is not a particular person who will be the owner of the NPO. There are charitable trusts and societies which are formed to have the ownership of the NPO. So the NPO will be owned by charitable trusts and societies, and its subscribers are its members. So who works under that? The members are there who will help the NPO to work. So, and subscribers to these organizations are called its members, right? So that is the second important feature of NPO, that the charitable trusts or the societies own the NPO. Now what is the next feature? The next feature is the entity. NPO is a separate entity than its members, right? What is the third feature? Third feature is separate entity. So what will be the impact of this feature? Separate entity. Separate entity means NPO is a separate person and its members are the separate persons. So in that case, what will happen, that the existence of NPO will not depend upon the existence of members or increasing or decreasing the members. It will not be affected by the changes in the number of members. So if there is an admission of any member, or if there is death of any member, or if there is any insolvency of any member, NPO will not be affected because it is a separate entity and members are the part of NPO. They have taken the membership, but their admission, their death, their insolvency is not going to affect its existence, right? So we can write the highlighting point here. Separate entity says the admission of new members or death or insolvency of members doesn't affect its existence. Okay, so that is the meaning of separate entity, right? Now what is the next feature? That who is managing the NPO? When members are separate, NPO is separate and owned by the charitable trust, then who manages? Who works for NPOs? So NPO, like management, is not a manager which will be hired. It will be managed by the committee which will be created by the, which will be like elected by the members. So members, they come together and then they elect a person, they elect few persons who make a committee and they take the management decisions for the NPOs, right? So managed by the elected members. Managed by the elected members. So management will be done by those members who are interested in taking care of the management part. They can volunteer themselves or others can, elect them for doing the management part. So it is done by the elected members. Okay, children? How to prepare income and expenditure account and balance sheet at the end of current year. And for that, you have to learn how to prepare the opening balance sheet so that we get to know the capital fund figure, and then we can prepare or we can complete the closing balance sheet, which is the balance sheet at the end of the current year. And children, as I am reminding you again and again, now in this term, the exam will be of subjective nature. The questions of subjective nature will be asked. So you must know all the formats and you must practice all the long answer questions, short answer questions along with your MCQs. Okay, so today's class is going to prepare you for a 6-marker question. So pay attention very carefully, and it is going to be very easy also. So there are logics behind every move. So just be careful and pay proper attention. So we have to learn income and expenditure account and balance sheet. For what? For that, what will be provided to us? We have been provided here the receipt and payment account. We will be provided receipt and payment account, and the format for that you know already is like this. This is our receipt and payment account. Children, first of all, I am just explaining the concept to you. I am not telling you the question. I am not explaining the question. First of all, we will understand the concept, that how and why any particular item will be taken to income and expenditure account or balance sheet. Then after that, we will take up a proper question and we will understand with the help of the example also. Okay. So first of all, this is a receipt and payment account. Receipts and payments account. It has debit side, children. It has credit side. Then we have the columns as receipts, amount, payments, amount. Okay, so I'm just giving you the concept. So what actually we take on the debit side of receipt and payments account? So on the debit side, generally we get to balance BD. What is that? That is the opening balance of cash and bank. So whatever cash balance the NPO is having, whatever bank balance they have, the opening balance in the beginning of current year, that is taken the first item on the receipt and payment account. What else comes on the debit side, children? On the debit side comes capital receipts. As we have already discussed that our receipt and payment account is a real account, okay, and it will be prepared on the cash basis. So it is going to record all the receipts in this year, whether they relate to previous year or the next year or the current year
or whether the nature is capital nature or revenue nature. Whatever money is coming is recorded on the debit side. So we are just taking the note that which all items can be there. So what next will be there here? It will be revenue, or I should say regular. Revenue means here regular, recurring nature, right? Regular receipts. Fine. So on the debit side, we will have three type of item. First is the opening balance of cash in bank. Then we have capital receipts, and then we have revenue or regular receipts. What will be on the payment side? So payment side, we will have similar transactions, but of payment nature, expenditure nature. So it will be by capital payments, or we can say expenditures. Then there will be items of recurring nature, regular nature, revenue nature. So by revenue or regular payments or expenditure. Okay, what else will be there? The closing balance of cash. Okay, so third type of item will be by balance CD. It will be cash and bank balance. That is the closing balance of cash and bank balance. And then our account is closed. Okay, so apart from this, some additional information will also be provided to us. Additional information, also known as adjustment, will be provided to us, right? So we will get this as a question. Now what we have to do? We have to prepare income and expenditure account for the current year and balance sheet for the year ending. That will be asked in the question. But for completing the closing balance sheet, that is the balance sheet at the year end, we have to prepare by ourselves in the working note the opening balance sheet, because the opening balance sheet will provide us the amount of capital fund which will help us to complete the closing balance sheet. Okay, as you know children, in case of NPOs, there is no concept of capital. It's not a profit-making organization which will have a capital amount, capital invested to start the business. There is a general nature of fund available which is received in the form of donations or in the form of government grant, etc., life membership fee. So all these will add to the general fund. So capital fund needs to be calculated by preparing the opening balance sheet, right? So from this account and the additional information, we are going to solve the question, that is preparation of income and expenditure account and balance sheet. So let's see how we will proceed. So if suppose this is the solution that we are going to do, we will take income and expenditure account. We will prepare, okay? And what is the format of that, children? We have discussed this also in one of the sessions of accounting, income and expenditure account. So we will have expenditure on the debit side, expenditure on the debit side, then amount, then income on the credit side, then amount. So this is the format of our income and expenditure account. Now let us see what is the format of balance sheet. So in the balance sheet, what do we take? On the left hand side, we don't have a debit side or credit side here, as we discussed previously also in the lecture. So in balance sheet, we will have the liability side, amount column, asset side, and amount column. And to show that this is a closing balance sheet, we have to put the date, right? So we write as on 31st March, end of current year. So whatever date will be provided in the question, we will pick up the current year end date here. Okay. And after that, we will have to prepare another balance sheet, which will be the part of working note. Mostly in the exam, they will not ask the opening balance sheet, but we will have to prepare it so we can complete the closing one. So that will be a part of working note. The format will be similar, beta. जैसे हमने closing balance sheet में लिया है, the same format will be there in the opening. Only the date will change. Okay. So now let us understand that how the items will be taken in all the three, one account and two statements. So if we see here, on the debit side, first of all is given as 2 balance BD. It's a very systematic process, children. If you understand in system, you will find it so easy, and the 6 marks that will be in your pocket very easily. Okay, so just pay attention. So we take the items one by one. So first item is 2 balance BD, cash and bank balance. So this is the opening balance of cash and bank, right? So this needs to be taken to the opening balance sheet and on the asset side. Okay, we will take all the items one by one. We will take all the items one by one and we will see the place from where they will reach. So opening balance of cash and bank will go to the opening balance sheet on the asset side. Okay. Next item, capital receipts. Now what are capital receipts? The money which is coming in the NPO once in many years. It's not regular. Okay. So all the capital items from receipt and payment account, all the capital receipts and payments will go to the balance sheet. And since it is happening in the current year, this will go to the closing balance sheet, right? So these capital receipts we are going to take to the closing balance sheet on the liability side. Why on the liability side? Because when we have received money for a longer time period, it's of capital nature. So if we have to show in the balance sheet as a liability or as an asset, so which side it should reach? It should reach on the liability side because we are liable to keep it for a long term with us, right? So capital receipts will come to the liability side. Okay, and then what will happen to the last item here? Last type of item. There can be many items of revenue nature. There can be many items of capital nature. I am just telling you the type by which they will be taking their place in the final accounts. Okay. So now revenue or regular receipt, where these will go? Revenue or regular receipt will help us to calculate the surplus or deficit of the NPO by which the working is going on, by which the expenses will be taken care of. Okay, so it is taken to income and expenditure account. So children, let's understand once again. We discussed already this in the previous session, but let's again revise that what is the aspect and why, how we are going to take up any item in income and expenditure account. So we are going to use 2 filters, as I told you earlier also, that any item to reach income and expenditure account, it should relate to the current year. So children, there is a filter that we are going to use for taking any item from receipt and payment account to income and expenditure account. I told you we should consider 2 conditions. What are those 2 conditions? First condition is that it should relate to the current year. The amount should relate to the current year. If from the receipt and payment account, the amount which relates to current year will be taken to income and expenditure account. And second condition should be that it should be of revenue nature, right? So the revenue item which is remaining here, in that again there can be amount for previous year, for next year. As you know already that we have discussed the subscription case. In case of subscription, the NPO receives the subscription from previous year for the next year. So what we have to do, we have to filter it and we have to just find out the amount for the current year, and that we will take here in the income and expenditure account. Okay, so two conditions to be satisfied. Then what we will do, we will take the revenue receipts on which side, children? These revenue receipts should be taken to the income side. So now its turn comes and it will go to the income side. Revenue receipts on the income side with two conditions fulfilled, that it should be for the current year and it should be revenue. That's why we are picking it up. Okay, so first condition was automatically fulfilled, and second, we will pick up only the current year amount. Okay, so one side we have settled. Now we will go on the payment side. Okay, so from payment side, again similar logic we are going to apply. That first of all, the capital payments are given. So capital payment, as I told you, that capital nature of items should be taken in balance sheet only, and since it is happening during this year, during the current year, so it will make an impact on the closing balance sheet, not the opening balance sheet. So all the capital expenditure items will be taken in the closing balance sheet on the asset side, because when we spend money, so we are going to acquire the asset for a long term. That is the capital expenditure. So that should be shown on the asset side. Then after that, revenue, nature of item, revenue expenditure. Any example? Yeah, revenue nature of item is rent or upkeep of ground or honorarium paid to the coaches. All these are the expenses which are of recurring nature, happening again and again every year. So these should be taken to income and expenditure account. So before taking to income and expenditure account, we will again see the filter of two conditions. The first condition, it should be of revenue nature. Second condition, it should be for current year. Okay, and we need current year complete amount. So in some of the cases, if they say the expense has been paid but something is still outstanding, where they will say that will be provided in the additional information in the adjustment. As I told you here, there will be certain additional information also. So there that will be provided that some of the rent is outstanding or some of the repairs is outstanding. So that you have to add in the amount which is given on the payment side to make it equal to the complete amount of current year. Okay, so if extra is there of the previous year or the next year, that needs to be deducted. But if it is falling short for the current year only, that means some of the current year amount still has not been paid, it is due, so it will be added, right? So that will be taken on which side? On the expenditure side. So we will take this revenue expenditure and it will go to the expenditure side of income and expenditure account. And last, children, only one thing is left here, the closing balance of cash and bank. What are cash and bank? These are our current assets. So any guesses where we should take these? These are the closing balance of cash and bank. Yes, well said. So now these will be taken to the closing balance sheet on the asset side only, because these are current asset and on the closing date. So this will definitely go to the closing balance sheet. After taking all the items from receipt and payment account to the respective places, we will see once again that whether we have taken all the adjustments as well. And after that, we will start the balancing process. Then first of all, we will balance our income and expenditure account. And if our income side is bigger, the total of this side is bigger and total of expenditure is lesser, then we will get a surplus because income is more. So that will be reflected here. We write 2 surplus balancing figure and it will be, the amount will be put here. Okay, that is the kind of profit, but it will be called surplus because we are talking about NPO, not for profit organization. On the other hand, if expenditure side is bigger and income side is smaller, we will have a deficit. There is a loss that will be termed as deficit in case of NPOs. So we will put the difference here. We will write by deficit and the amount will be taken here. Okay. After that, in the doing the entire question, after that we will do the opening balance sheet. We will draw the closing one. We will leave the space for that, and then we will draw the opening balance sheet. In that we will put the required items. We will do the total of the asset side, and from the total of asset side, we will deduct the liability side total, and we will get the amount of capital fund. Now, this capital fund will be taken to the closing balance sheet along with the other items which we have already discussed how those will be taken, and then we will total both the sides of closing balance sheet, and it should come out to be equal because it will show the balance. It's a balance sheet, and we have completed all the aspects. So with that, your question will be over. Okay. So this is conceptually I have told you that how to prepare income and expenditure account, balance sheet, closing as well as opening. Now the same thing we are going to do with the help of a question. Okay. So let's start the question. Okay children, so let's see the example that we have in front of us, how to prepare income and expenditure account and balance sheet from the given receipt and payment account and adjustments, right? So let's understand the question first. From the following receipt and payment account and information given below, prepare income and expenditure account and balance sheet for the year ended 31st March 2021. So first of all, it's very important children to read the question twice and to understand what all have been provided so that we can get the answer in the first shot only. Okay. So the year end is 31st March 2021 and this is a sports club. Okay. So receipt and payment account is provided. On the debit side, let us understand which items are given. It's to balance brought down, that is our opening cash and bank balance. Okay. Then subscriptions are given here. For the previous year, 15,000 has been received. This is the amount of subscription received during the year. Okay. So 15,000 for the previous year and 1 lakh they have received for the current year. And for next year also they have received 20,000. So in total the subscription received is 1,35,000. So we have to do the adjustment in this amount. Next is given as donations. Donations are 40,000 and they have not specified any name with that donation. So it's a general nature of donation. So it will be revenue nature considered and taken to income and expenditure account. Before that, the subscription that we discussed again is of revenue nature. So that will also be taken to income and expenditure account. And then the last item is life membership fee. So life membership fee, children, as the name suggests, it is of capital nature. It's given once in the lifetime by the member. So it is to be capitalized. Okay, it will be added in the capital fund in the closing balance sheet, or it can be written separately also. Both the treatments are valid. Now let us see the payment side. On the payment side, the first item provided is rent. Okay, so rent is which nature? Revenue or capital? Yes, absolutely correct. So it is of revenue nature. So we will take that in the income and expenditure account. The next item is repairs. Again, repair is of regular recurring nature. So it will be taken to income and expenditure account. Next item is given as honorarium to coaches. What is honorarium to coaches? It is the token payment made to oblige the coaches. Okay, it's not the full-fledged amount because we're talking about NPOs. So it is a token amount given as to oblige the coaches that they have provided the training, right? So it is again of revenue nature. Next is investment. Now, what is the nature of investment? Investment is a capital nature item. We don't invest every year. We invest for long term. Okay. So, capital nature item will be taken where? Yes, absolutely correct. It will be taken to the balance sheet. Again, books are being provided here. So, these books will not be considered as the course book which expires every year. We will consider them as the asset or capital expenditure of the NPO. So these will also be capitalized. Means books purchased once for the longer time period, more than 1 year. Okay. Then next item is given as newspaper. So newspaper, you know children, it's of recurring nature only because it expires every day. So that will go to income and expenditure account. Next item is upkeep of grass. Again, it's a regular nature of expense. Then next is billiard table. Now what is billiard table? Which kind of expenditure do you think it is? Is it capital or is it revenue? So billiard table is not bought every year, right? So it is bought for a longer time period. That's why it will be capital nature item and it will be taken to the balance sheet. And the last item is buy balance carried down, cash and bank closing balance. And as we have discussed, this will be taken to the balance sheet anyway because it is our current asset. Okay, now let us take a look on the adjustments also and then we will proceed with preparing the income and expenditure account. So what is the first information given here? There are 125 members, each paying 1000 rupees. Okay, so we discussed then there is a formula to calculate subscription for the current year. That formula where we used to add outstanding at the end, deduct outstanding in the beginning. Then prepaid at the end we used to deduct and prepaid in the beginning we used to add. So we can apply that formula, or in this question we have got the choice that we know that how many members are there and we know that what is the subscription paid by per member. It is also provided. So we can multiply simply and find out what is the amount of current year. Okay, so both ways we can go. Second information given here is subscriptions outstanding as on 31st March 2020. So subscription outstanding as on 31st March 2020 means it is the beginning of the year. You can say that 31st March 2020 is the end of the previous year, which is actually the beginning of current year also, because we are talking about the year ending 31st March 2021. So it is going to begin on 1st of April 2020 and both the dates are considered as similar. 31st March 2020 will be considered similar to 1st April 2020, right? So it is subscription outstanding in the beginning of the current year. But let us see children, there is one more information related to subscription in the beginning of the year. What was that? On the receipt side, it's been given that 15,000 has been received from the for the previous year. And how much outstanding is being shown here? It is 18,000. Okay, so outstanding in the beginning was 18,000, but out of that 15,000 only has been received. That means there is still an outstanding of rupees 3,000 on behalf of the previous year. Then we can have some amount as current year. So we will do all these calculation when we will do the subscription part. Okay. Next information provided here is rent outstanding. So what is the date? Is it beginning of the year or current year? End of the current year we will have to see. So rent outstanding as on 31st March 2021 is rupees 2,000. So it is at the end of current year. So it should be according to our formula, it should be added outstanding at the end, right? Next they have provided the assets on the beginning date. So beginning of the year. So where are we going to use this? We are going to use this in the opening balance sheet, right? So what all assets are given? Building 10 lakh, books 2 lakh, furniture 5 lakh. All these are already there in the beginning of the year. So these will be part of opening balance sheet, as well as these will go to the closing along with the additions and subtractions during the year. Okay. What is left? Last is depreciate furniture at the rate 10% per annum, and we have to depreciate one asset out of these, that is furniture at 10%, which again will be taken in the income and expenditure account because it is also of regular nature, right? So let's start income and expenditure account preparation. So format you all know already. So all of you just start drawing it in your notebook along with me only, so that you understand it better. Because when we keep on doing the question side by side with the teacher, we get to know it, get to understand it better. So it is income and expenditure account for the year ended 31st March 2021. This way we put the heading always. Then this is the debit side, this is the credit side, this is expenditure, then amount, then income, and amount. This is the format of our income and expenditure account. So let us keep on taking one by one each item so that nothing is skipped and we get the answer in the very first shot. So to balance brought down, we don't have to take it here because it will go to the balance sheet. Next item is subscription. We definitely have to take it. So we will write subscription first of all. So by subscription, we will write the amount in the inside column only because we need to do some adjustments. So here by subscription received. How much we have received? We will write the full amount 1,35,000. Then we are going to add outstanding at the end. Outstanding as on 31st March 2021. Outstanding as on 31st March 2021, and it will have two parts, current year's outstanding and still outstanding. Okay, so what is for current year? So for 2021 we have, how much we have received for the current year, children? We have received here 1 lakh rupee for current year, and how much is the total? The total should be 125 into 1000. So how much that will be? 125 into 1000 will become 1,25,000. That is the current year amount, and from that we will deduct what we have received, 1 lakh. So 25,000 is the current year outstanding. Okay, so first part of it is 25,000. Then we will add still outstanding. Still outstanding is what? Outstanding in the beginning of the current year minus what we have received out of it. So as we discussed initially, 18,000 is the outstanding in the beginning. From that 18 we have received 15,000. So how much is still outstanding? 3,000 for the previous year. So we are going to add this here only. In total it becomes 28,000. So now this 28,000 will be added in our 1,35,000. So what it will become? 1,63,000. Okay. So after 1,63,000, what else we are going to take here? We will see what is outstanding in the beginning. So there are two amounts, 15,000 in the beginning and 18,000 in the beginning. So which one we are going to take, children? We will take the 18,001 amount because that is actually the outstanding. Out of that we have received 15 here. So that doesn't matter because that accounting we have done here only in still outstanding. Right now we have to take the next part as less outstanding as on 31st March 2020. That is the beginning of the year, which is given as 18,000. So how much will be the amount after this? For 1,45,000. Okay. After that, what else is left? The amount 20,000, which is prepaid at the end. Okay. So that also we are going to deduct because it relates to the next period, next year. Less prepaid subscription as on 31st March 2022. 21. The year end is 21. As on 31st March 2021, it relates to the next period. Okay, because it is prepaid. How much is that? it is 20,000. So after deducting that, we will get the amount of current year, and how much it is coming out to be? It is coming out to be 1,25,000 children, and now you can cross check with the information provided in the first point as additional information that 125 members each paying 1,000 rupee, it will become 125 into 1,000, 1,25,000. Okay, so subscription part is done. That was the biggest part of the question. Now let us quickly take up all the remaining items. So next is donation. Donation is of revenue nature and there is no adjustment to be taken. So we will simply write it under that. So by donations, we will take up the amount, and the amount here is 40,000. Okay, donations done. After that, what is given? Life membership fee, and life membership fee is going to be taken to balance sheet. So our receipt side is over. That means our income side is over. Okay. Now we will pick up the items from the payment side. So first item is rent, and we must remember that what all adjustments are given so that we can adjust them with the concerned item. So we have one adjustment related to rent given. We must consider that. Okay. So rent paid during the year is 10,000. So we will write it as to rent 10,000, and this outstanding is at the end of current year, so it should be added. If it would have been outstanding in the beginning of current year, so it should be deducted. Okay, we will remember the formula, same formula that we have learned. So add outstanding as on 31st March 2021, and that is provided as 2,000. So it becomes 12,000 here. Okay. Next item is repairs. So repairs again is of revenue nature. We will take it here to repairs. And there are no adjustments. So amount will directly go to the amount column. Next item is honorarium to coaches. Again same thing. To be taken on the expenditure side. Amount is also similar, 20,000. What's next? By investment. So investment we have discussed that it is of capital nature. It will go to the balance sheet. So we will leave it right now. Next item is books. Again same thing with books also. We will leave it right now. Newspaper is a revenue nature of item. So newspaper will come here. What is the amount of newspaper? It is 1,000. Next item is upkeep of grass. It is again revenue nature item. To upkeep of grass, that is 2,000. Next item is billiards table. So billiards table we have already discussed. It's of capital nature. It will go to the balance sheet. So we will leave it right now. Next is balance CD, that is the closing balance. These are anyway will be taken to the balance sheet only. So all these items we have taken from the expenditure side, payment side to the expenditure side. But before balancing, we must check once again that whether we have covered all the adjustment or not. Okay, there can be any item which may be there in the adjustment. So first we have definitely covered members and their subscription, per member subscription. Second also we have covered subscription outstanding. Third is the rent outstanding that we have covered. Next is the assets, these to be taken to the opening balance sheet. Last one, depreciate furniture at the rate 10% per annum. So this is again needs to be taken in income and expenditure account. So it will be the last item here. To depreciation on furniture, and what will be the amount? It will be 5 lakh is the furniture amount, and on that we will do 10%, so that becomes 50,000. Okay children, so 50,000 depreciation. Now this side is also complete. Now we will do the balancing. We will find out the total of both the sides, and wherever the difference will be put, that will be named accordingly. So like it's visible clearly that on the credit side only it is more. So we will put the total of credit side on the debit side as well. So what is the total here? 1,65,000 is the total of credit side. Okay, so same total we are going to write on the debit side also. And how we will find out the difference? We will total the debit side item and we will deduct them from 1,65,000. So what is the total of debit side? 50. We will write it roughly somewhere. Here we can write 0, 0, 0, 5, 10. So it is 1,05,000. So 1,05,000 we are going to deduct from 1,65,000. So what will be the balance? 60,000 will be the balance here, and that is our surplus. Okay, we will put here balancing figure. We will put the term balancing figure because that is the balance here. So in this way, children, we complete our income and expenditure account. And now I will show how to do the balance sheet. We must close the account, complete account with a single line and the amount columns with the double line to show the closure of the account for that year. Okay, so now let us see how the balance sheet will look like. Okay children, so let's see how the balance sheet will look like. So first of all, we should prepare the closing balance sheet. Like while doing the main question, you cannot draw opening balance sheet first because that is a part of working note. In the question, they have asked you to prepare only the closing balance sheet and income and expenditure account. So opening balance sheet you are preparing for your own purpose, okay, own working. So that will be a part of working note that should appear after the closing one, right? So we are going to draw the closing balance sheet first. We will leave space for this and then we will draw the opening balance sheet. Okay, so let's make it even smaller so that we get proper place for our opening balance sheet. This will be balance sheet as on 31st March 2021, and then in the working note we will prepare the opening balance sheet. And the format will be, first of all, on the top of the balance sheet we will write the date. Children, don't use the word opening or closing. In speaking, in explaining, I am telling you I am using the word, but we cannot write the word opening and closing. Instead, we should write the dates. Dates will tell which one is the opening and which one is the closing. As on 31st March 2020 is the balance sheet date. This is the liability side, then amount, then assets, then amount. So as I told you, opening balance sheet is very simple. First of all, we will pick up the opening balance of cash in bank, that will go to the asset side. Okay, so we will write here cash, that's 5,000, then bank balance, that is 10,000. Then we will take up the next item as the items provided here. They have already provided building, furniture, books, they all are on the opening date. Okay, so we will take them all one by one. Building is 10 lakh. Then next is books, Books are 2 lakh. Next item is furniture. Furniture is 5 lakh. And we will also incorporate any other item which is given on the opening date. So let's just find out in the question what else is given on the opening date. This subscription outstanding. This is given on 31st March 2020. Okay. And children, we discussed in the previous class also that what is subscription outstanding? Is it your asset or a liability? So subscription outstanding, any income which you are going to receive is definitely your asset. So you will write it on the asset side. Subscriptions outstanding. And what is the amount? This is the total amount. 18,000 we are going to take here. So that's all in the opening balance sheet. We will close it with a double line and we'll put the total here. Nothing on the debit side. No, sorry, not the credit and debit side, children. We will total the asset side, and on the liability side there is no item, so only the capital fund will appear. So whatever is the total of the asset side, that is the capital funds. So let's total. So it will be 1, 2, 3 here, 7, 1. It is 17,33,000. So we need to put the same total here, and the entire amount will become the balancing figure because there is nothing on the liability side. So we will write it as capital fund balancing figure. We have just calculated it. 13,33,000. That's the capital fund amount. Okay. Now we have completed the opening balance sheet and we have calculated capital fund. Now we can complete our closing balance sheet. Okay. So you must remember that in presentation of the question, after income and expenditure account, you will not draw opening balance sheet. You will draw closing one. You will leave space for it and required space, and then you will do the working note, opening balance sheet, then you will come back on the closing. So let's complete closing also. Okay, so let's see now how our closing balance sheet will appear. So again, if we have made opening balance sheet, we have got a particular format and we are going to follow it here only. So we will take up the item one by one from the opening balance sheet. That means we will see which item is there. The same we can take here with the different amount which is of the closing balance sheet, of the closing date. Okay, but we will get a guidance to prepare this closing once we have prepared the opening balance sheet. So in the opening one, we have first of all taken the cash balance. So cash and bank we are going to take, but the amount from where we will take, children? We will take from the payment side last item. So these are the closing balance sheet cash and bank balances. So it is 20,000 and 47,000. Okay, that's cash and bank. Then after that, we will pick up the next item which was in the opening balance sheet. So what was in the opening balance sheet next item? Building. So here also we can write building. Now we have to see that is there any change in the building balance? That means is there any new purchase in building, or is there any depreciation on the building? Any depreciation, any appreciation, any sale, that we need to update. If nothing has taken place, then we will put the amount as it is. So building, there is no change, so same amount will come. Next is, so after building 10 lakh, we will pick up the next item which is given in the opening balance sheet, that is books. And for the same thing, we will see again whether we have purchased any books during the year or sold. So we will adjust that also. So we can see here on the payment side, books of 20,000 has been purchased. So we need to add these in the opening balance, right? So we will write books 2 lakh, that's the opening balance. Then we will add the purchase here, add purchase, that is 20,000 and 2,20,000 will appear in the amount column. Then we will take up the next item, which is furniture. And initial amount of furniture is 5 lakh. And on furniture, the depreciation has been provided at 10%. So that will be deducted. So 50,000 of depreciation will be deducted. So we will write here less depreciation, and the balance will appear on the amount column. After that, we will take up the next item. So these balances are complete. So in the opening balance sheet, our next item is given as subscription outstanding. So we will see, do we have any subscription outstanding at the end of current year also? Yes. So you can refer to your income and expenditure account. We had written outstanding subscription at the end, that was 28,000, right? So we are going to take that here. Subscription outstanding 28,000, right? So we have taken more or less all the items of the asset side. Now we will see, we have just taken the items from the opening balance sheet. Now we will see any development during the year, any other item which is new during this year, which is the asset. So we will say payment side for that. On payment side, we had left investment. Okay, so investment is one new capital expenditure that must be recorded. So all this thing, beta, we should take care before totaling, before balancing. Okay, we should see all the aspects of the question from wherever the entry can come. Then only we should start the process of totaling and balancing. So this investment is 1 lakh. After investment, let's see any other capital expenditure. Books we have already recorded. Then billiards table is also one capital expenditure new. So we will take billiards table also here. That is 1,50,000. That is 1,50,000. So on the payment side, last item is the cash and bank balance, which we have already taken in the beginning of the closing balance sheet. Okay, so all the assets have been incorporated in the balance sheet. Now it's turn off the liability side. Okay, so liability side, we will pick up the first item from the opening balance sheet, that is capital fund. So our capital fund is 17 lakh 33,000. Okay, in this amount we are going to add surplus. If there is surplus, we add it. If there is a deficit, we deduct from the capital fund. So we are going to add surplus here. We will add surplus, and that is 60,000. So after addition, what is the amount? 17 lakh 93,000 is our amount after adding the surplus. Then we will see all the other items which can be the liability items. So we will see the receipt side, whatever we had left while preparing income and expenditure account. So our first, we have considered all balance brought down, subscriptions, donations. What is left? Life membership fee is left. So that will be taken here. Life membership fee. What is the amount of life membership fee? That is 2 lakh. So as children, I told in the beginning of the session that life membership fee can be shown separately also, and it can be added in this amount also. So we could have added in 17,93,000 only inside column, and we can show separately also. So life membership fee has been taken. Receipt side has already been covered completely. Now let us know one part is also left. Which one? This one. This subscription, which is prepaid at the end of the current year, that is an advanced subscription. So advanced subscription, children, what will it will be? It will be liability or will it be asset? It will be liability, because any income, if we have received in advance, we cannot utilize it in present. We have to keep it for the future. So that's, we are liable to keep it for the future. That's why it's a liability, right? So we will put it on the liability side. Advance subscription. So that is 20,000. I hope we have covered all the other items. Let us see all the aspects. So receipt side is covered, cash bank, subscriptions, donation, life membership fee. I think everything is being covered. So let's do the totaling and let's check it out whether it's coming out to be equal or not. So it is 0, 0, 0, 3, 1, 0, 2. 20 lakh, 13,000 is the total of liability side. Now let us see on the asset side. Do we get the same total? So it is 0, 0, 0, 3, 1, 0 and 2. So it's the same total on both the sides, 20 lakh, 13,000, and this brings us to the end of our final account question. Also the chapter.